Welcome again to the Solid Signal Podcast for April 9th, 2013. This week we're talking about HD voice. And while in other podcasts I don't always render an opinion, I leave it to you guys, I'm going to tell you what I really think about this new technology. You might be asking yourself, what is HD voice? HD voice is a new technology. You'll find it on high-end smartphones and some IP phones that promises to make phone calls sound an awful lot better. Because when you get right down to it, there's no reason that your cell phone call has to sound like it did in 1975. Phone calls could sound perfect, even better than this podcast if we wanted them to. It's just a matter of making it all work together. All the top carriers in the U.S. are working on enabling HD voice, at least in limited cities with limited phones. Which means, if you think about it, that you'll probably see this technology in about 18 months. My real question is, and the source of my opinion, is do you even care? I'm going to step back and date myself a little bit, go back to the late 1990s, when a boss of mine asked, "Do you think we'll ever see color fax?" I said to him, "I don't think we're going to ever see faxes in color, because we'll see a different technology, a better technology, that lets you send color pictures without having to have a dial-up modem and a separate phone line." Well, I was talking about email. He wasn't really ready to hear that term way back when. And you see, the reason I'm bringing that up is because he was thinking along the lines of making an older technology better, where I was thinking along the lines of making a whole new technology. And I think that's what we're seeing with voice. Nobody is really sitting there going, "Oh, gee, my voice calls are really scratchy." No, they're saying, "Hey, I can't get reception," which is another whole thing. And HD voice is not going to improve your reception. Let's make that clear right now. As we move from focusing on baby boomers to focusing on millennials, those folks born between 1980 and 1995, give or take, the whole focus of what is a phone changes. This group places a lot more focus on texting and internet surfing than they do on actual voice calling, and I don't think the call quality is really the issue. I think the real issue, the reason that millennials don't call people, is it's not an efficient use of their time. They can text somebody, they can be talking to somebody face-to-face, they can be emailing if they're feeling kind of retro, but standing there actually calling seems like kind of a waste of their time. And that's just not something they're going to do. It doesn't matter if the call sounds great, because they really don't want to be on it in the first place. Personally, I think the time and money that's invested in putting HD voice equipment out there would be better spent putting out LTE Advanced equipment. LTE Advanced, if it's implemented right, will let you use one technology and one radio for voice, text, and data. And, hopefully, if the carriers are smart and if we're all lucky, get a little bit more rational pricing, where you're charged by the actual data you're used. Phone calls use very little data and text messages use even less. And yet, the prices for phone calls are artificially inflated, and the prices for text messages on a megabyte by megabyte basis are insanely high. LTE Advanced could level the playing field, and that's far more important than HD voice. Come to think of it, rather than implementing HD voice, how about just putting out a few more cell towers? Nobody complains that they can't quite understand you because the call quality isn't good. They complain because the call gets dropped. This is a consistent problem. This is why people buy cell boosters. And while Solid Signal loves to sell cell boosters, it would be even better for everybody, let's be honest, if the cell companies just got their acts together and provided better, more consistent service across more places. I'm not extremely bullish on HD voice. What do you think? Leave us a comment at blog.solidsignal.com. And if you have a topic for a future podcast, use that orange Suggest a Topic button at the top right of blog.solidsignal.com. As always, it's been my pleasure. I thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week on the Solid Signal Podcast.